So this is the Thursday, March 2nd Scalability SIG meeting, public recording. There we go. I guess we can get going.
Out of curiosity, where are those recordings?
Where are the what?
Our recordings are stored. Like I was kind of looking for it.
We've kind of got a mishmash of them, and they changed the update, and we're behind on the update policy, like where you're supposed to store them. So we had put them on a different YouTube channel there for a while, and we're supposed to repost them to someplace new, and we just haven't done it. So
can someone put it into the notes?
Yes. I'll put it into the notes right now. Need to get the recordings uploaded to the new standard location. Yes, indeed, we'll work on that.
Thanks.
Should we post the old channel to?
No, I just want to get rid of the old channel is in the notes somewhere, but the problem is we have a mix of videos from before and after, and we just need to go through and clean it up. So, I'll put, you and I need to work on that. Yeah. So, okay. The main thing I wanted to cover today is, and I was just about to post a link here, is, here, I'll stick it here, but let me also, so I just stuck a link to a presentation in the notes. Can you look at the notes? Now I can't share. I'll put the notes in here. So Sarah asked me to give a SIG scale update at the community meeting this morning. So I just put together a few notes, and I was hoping we could get some input. There's a couple of spots. There's a couple of places we should probably have an update around anyway, and then I can get the updates into the notes properly. So for example, I got, I think I have the right link to the performance run comparison stuff that you showed us, because I think that's one of the interesting bits here recently. Here, if you can you share that present? Can you share the link there?
I'll share the link.
Oh, slides. How fun.
What's going on?
We're just looking at the slides you searched, because we haven't seen them before.
Michael Frank Mill is typing a bunch of stuff. Please undo. Thank you.
Is that am I off on the wrong track here, Mary?
Does anyone actually believe that 1.6 was stabilization release?
Nope.
Really want to open that can of worms.
Nope. Absolutely not.
There wasn't. There was never.
Really quiet, Merrick. Can you get closer to the microphone?
Yeah, we're sound off. Sound off and mic off.
It is off.
No, and your sound off. You have to turn your speaker off, because there you go.
Sorry.
Do you want to share it though?
Share what?
Share the notes. We can get in. Here, maybe I can get in now. But.
So I mean, on the topic of
So Bob, actually, we are going to announce 5,000 in some limited way. So, right this time.
We can't hear you. Wait,
Can't hear you.
So, can you hear me now?
yes.
Barely.
So basically, we are going to announce 5,000 nodes in some limited scope, like for 1.6. Like it won't be like phrased as we support 5,000 nodes, but it will be phrased in a way that we can run 5,000 nodes, and we have some tests, like we have a test or testing we have tests that are like basically stressing this cluster and are like satisfying our SLOs.
Okay.
It still means that like there are a bunch of things that may potentially not scale good. Like, for example, like service propagation may be long potentially, but
Just a second.
we are going to say something around 500.
So,
Say something, is this like a blog post sort of thing?
There will be a blog post, yes.
right. So this topic came up. I attended the last SIG PM meeting where this came up, and what I told the PM meeting was that, you know, we believed that 5,000 with control plane engineering and care that 5,000 nodes was totally possible, but we weren't presently carrying it for the 1.6 release as a specific goal. So I think it's easy to get a little bit tied up between the, and from a marketing perspective for the project, I totally agree, you know, saying, look, we can run 5,000. If you're careful and you know what you're doing, 5,000 nodes is totally doable. I mean, this was the statement we were making around the 1,000 node stuff back when the project limit was 100 nodes. So what's your suggestion? I mean, we can just make that commentary at the meeting, but I think, you know, project status is maybe a little different than marketing output on this point.
So this is a good question. Like basically, I know that we will announce something. Like Aparna, who is like our PM, will announce something. Like pretty much what, like, I think it's phrased as like 5,000 node sandbox testing verification fast or something like that. Like, so, which obviously doesn't mean like fully we support it, no matter what you do, but it's like, it's not that like, there is no performance target for me at all.
Right. So have you run 5,000 node tests?
Yes, I did.
So I think, I mean, the statement I made at the PM group is aligned with yours, and it's the statement I would make in public as well, which is we believe a 5,000 node cluster is buildable with care, but we're not running CI for the project at 5,000, right?
Well, in a way, we are running like we are not running it continuously, but we are running 5,000 node clusters. It's not that we run it like once.
Well, I know, but running it in CI as part of the community project is different than one of the community project members running an occasional test at that size, right?
But to be fair,
But like, to be honest, like we will never be running 5,000 node clusters as a community like continuously. Like it's just too expensive.
I just think there's a difference between bragging about how performance has improved versus saying that now, as of Kubernetes 1.6, you can totally do 5,000 nodes.
Like
Yeah.
it's definitely not that we can totally, whatever you do, it will be working. We are not playing that.
Yeah, I think I think we can say we've run tests at this scale.
Yeah.
But the you know, we know for certain endpoints and services that fix is still not in. So like in this release cycle, if you had, you know, 100 services per machine and you load that cluster up, you're going to watch it implode, right?
Like it won't blow. Like it will be super slow, but it won't like blow the cluster up.
Well, it all depends to find how you blow it up, because what happens is you're going to load the individual boxes down. They're going to be the resource reservation for IP tables, you know, smashing the machine. So it's going to be weird.
So that's consistent with my statement that if you know what you're doing, 5,000 nodes is very doable. You wouldn't, I mean, it's not like any beginner user is going to crank up a 5,000 node cluster anyway. So at some level, it's kind of a silly discussion, but it's
But sorry, I think that I'm looking into the slides and there is said like no performance target upgrade from 1.5 to 1.6. It doesn't say anything about like that 5,000 nodes is like.
So I think I would sort of phrase that like we are always working to improve performance, but we didn't set a stake in the ground specifically for 1.6, right? We're always trying to make sure that things go up and to the right. but
Yeah.
just-
I think it's okay in the community meeting to say that sandbox tests, because I mean this is for the broader community to say that sandbox tests had been run at 5,000 and they were looking green.
Yep.
Okay. I will work on that.
the sensitivity here, right, is just you don't want this picked up in terms of marketing and saying now Kubernetes officially supports 5,000 nodes. That's what we want
Right.
to do.
Well, and the reverse, we had the problem with the reverse, which is that the community target was excessively conservative and it got picked up the other way. And that was also bad. So.
But that was 2 years ago now. So that's.
I'm just trying to keep from repeating that mistake again, both ways, right?
Yep.
I'm extra sensitive on it because I got beat up on this so much in public. No, the Google folks did. So anyway, all right. Any other? I'll say big concerns.
Are your upgrade tests are all green now after you had a couple of problems, Wojtek?
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
I'm not sure about, like, you mean upgrade test for HCDV3 or upgrade test in general?
Well, upgrade test for HCD3. I don't care about the other ones.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The other one,
Still
I
flaky.
don't know really. I think they are not green or not fully green. The HCDV3 one are pretty much green. I think that like the problems that we are observing there are like there are some rare flakes there, but they're like no one like really had time like looking into them deeper. But I looked and the first glance there are just like flakes for regular tests, not related to HCDV3.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm posting links to the right test grid thing, I've been seeing some all green runs. It's the rollback stuff that seems to be flaky, but the upgrade stuff seems to be working okay.
Oh,
Right. This is another.
Oh, sorry. So to clarify, like Aaron, like there are basically two things. It's like upgrade with HCDV, like upgrade and rollback in the 1.5 branch, which seems to be pretty stable, both rollback and upgrade, and upgrade and rollback in latest, which is like 1.6, which contains a bunch of different upgrade tests that are flaky because they are flaky, not because like it's HCDV3 underneath. So I think that we should mostly look into 1.5 until we have like stabilized upgrade tests in master.
Okay. Let me try to boil down an acceptable summary for the community meeting. So at CD3 for like fresh cluster work is in good shape. For 1.5 to 1.6 upgrades, it's in good shape. For rollbacks, we think we're getting caught into the general purpose flakes, but generally everybody feels like it's going to be in good shape.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, all right.
Just to ask the dumb question, if you stand up a new cluster with 1.6, you default to CD3, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Was that the same in 1.5? I kind of can't remember.
No.
Okay. So I would call that out, that new clusters are going to default to CD3.
I will call it out. Let's see, 1.5 to 1.6 upgrades in good shape. 1.6 to 1.5 downgrades. Rollbacks.
That's not a thing for anybody but Google. No one does that. So just no one has the rollback support. So that's just I think as a community-wide thing, you can articulate what the Google support is, but make sure you preface that with Google.
Okay. I'm always nervous about speaking for other people in these kind of community meetings, but I'll do my best on this one. And I'm sure Google folks that disagree with any points I make won't be shy about speaking up in the middle of the update.
Yep.
So,
Ken, what do you mean by Google's the only one that does this? I mean, isn't it documented? Couldn't we do it?
The process that etcd folks use for they snapshot before, they try to do the upgrade. If it fails, they restore from snapshot and they run that way. They do not do a data rollback, a data migration, right? Because it's not supported. So the folks, Wojtek worked with the other guys from CoreOS to do a migration backwards, but that's not supported by anybody except for on Google's infrastructure, right? So
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So this rollback, it's like kind of custom for us. Like it's everything is open sourced in this area, so everyone can potentially use it, but it seems that like only we are really interested in having that.
Which is kind of surprising because like really no one cares about having rollbacks.
Maybe if we do that, or like if Google do like upgrades, upgrades a bunch of clusters in GKE, maybe like just
rollback.
like upgrade works.
well, it all depends. Like people have outage windows for stuff like this because 1.6, the thing that people are going to need to pay attention to is 1.6 is like a complete cluster outage window. Because it's more than just etcd modifications.
Yep.
There's the C group hierarchy changes that will force you to upgrade and offload your kubelets. Like there's a bunch of ongoing stuff outside of the scope of this SIG that is occurring in this cycle that will force, operators, if they have a running cluster, to have a planned outage window if they want to upgrade.
So to be honest, like in Google for GKE clusters, we will be upgrading to etcd3 independently to upgrade to 1.6. Like new clusters will be started with etcd3, but the existing ones will be like we will be upgrading independently to etcd3 from upgrading to 1.6.
Yeah, and that was my
To reduce the risk, basically, that one will affect the other.
Yep.
Does that affect how the API server communicates with etcd? Again, I'm a little bit out of it. Do we have like one way of talking to etcd v3 versus v2?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If I have an API server that's used to talking to etcd2 and you swap out etcd v3 underneath of it, does it need to change what it talks, what protocol it uses?
Yeah, you need to change the flag in API server also.
Okay.
So you could, well, I think the question is like, if you do an upgrade of your environment, you're already talking V2 and you have V2 backend, and you upgrade to etcd3, you're fine, right? If you want the API server to run in V3 client mode, then you have to do an offline migration.
Yep.
Right. I agree. Those are two distinct things, and I was trying to clarify which. It sounds like both of those will be done automatically within Google.
Yes.
Okay. I had a question that's unrelated to what we have on the slides, but I was curious where we're at in terms of decoupling KubeMark from Google. I know there had been work to make it a little bit more provider independent, and I wasn't sure what the status of that work was.
Yeah, I can tell, but it's mostly done. Like it's like possible to implement your own. Like of course we didn't implement everything, so like you need to do some work to start the KubeMark on AWS or something. But we got rid of all.
Yeah,
like,
all the cloud providers just moved out from the KubeMark startup script. So, and it's also kind of well documented, the comments on how to define this interface. And you pretty much, for a cloud provider to start KubeMark, they pretty much have to right now, I guess, define 4 functions, which is like starting up a master instance and killing a master instance and being able to SSH and think. Yeah.
SSH and SCP.
SSH and SCP, yes.
So I agree. I think this is super awesome. I've been super excited about this for what it's worth, and I think we should brag about it, but I'm hesitant to brag about it if we don't actually have a working demonstrable case of this being used someplace outside of Google.
I agree.
I unfortunately don't have the bandwidth to test, right? But like if I saw KubeMark running on COPS or something like KOPS, that would be awesome, right? Do we think that's a feasible thing?
Well, but we can't do it, right?
Well, it's not about COPS. It's more about like running on AWS, for example, because like setting up the class, setting up KubeMark like machine is completely different than we like setting up KubeMark.
I was calling out KOps specifically because it seems like they're deprecating, if not outright removing, the cluster kubeup scripts for the AWS provider. So I think KOps is the now accepted way of moving to AWS.
No, but like also like for KubeMark, we are not using KubeUp for GCE. It's like dedicated thing. So you need to have also a dedicated thing for AWS or something like that.
You just start a cluster, like a base cluster. Then you run the start KubeMark script that does the rest. But the original cluster,
the original cluster, you can do whatever you want. Like
yes.
it's even now, like it's like kind of independent. But you need to have a dedicated piece of code that will create this like KubeMark master VM, and it's like we are not reusing KubeUp or anything like that for GCE. Also, it's like dedicated code and if you want to run it, for example, on AWS, you also need to run a dedicated code. You write a dedicated code for it.
Should I make a statement about the fact that there's interest in having folks that want to do large KubeMark-based tests on AWS? We'd love to have their participation, or is that?
Sure.
I'm trying to get the update for the larger community boiled into something that isn't quite so that's short and interesting, I guess. All right.
I mean, I think that's fair. It sounds like what I heard you guys say was, yeah, we can totally run KubeMark in other places. You just need to work to implement these things, and we'd be happy to show you what those are. We can point you at the documents. You can reach out to us for questions.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. Like it's literally creating machines, deleting machine, SSH, and STP. Right, like the things that you would expect, right?
I'll just say large KubeMark-based cluster tests on AWS are of interest for a goal, future goal.
I think I now in my new with my new hat on, which is no longer a red hat.
Your new hat is no longer red. Is that
my new hat is no longer red? Would definitely have interest in pursuing this. The amount of time I will be able to devote to it is a question mark, but I think there's absolutely a desire to stand up kubeadm installs on AWS and run KubeMark against it.
Okay. All right.
Hello everyone, I have a question regarding KubeMark. This is Ravi from Red Hat. Do we have a laundry list of stuff that we have to change for rest of the cloud providers? You were talking about two functions, Shyam.
Yeah. So I'm actually just sharing the link on the chat. So pretty much you need to do two things. The first thing is define these interface functions. So there is a skeleton utility file that you need to override, and there are 4 functions in it. One of them is like to create the instance along with the persistent disk and stuff like that, to create the instance, and the other is to delete the instance. And apart from that, you need to define a function which does SCP and one for SSH. And the exact specifications, I'm actually sharing the link to that file now.
Okay.
And apart from this, the other thing you need to do is to be able to define your configuration file for AWS or Red Hat or whatever. Yeah. So basically, and it's not a very big. It shouldn't be really difficult because there is a config file for GCE already, and you should be able to like more or less have equivalents of all the configs for other providers.
Yes. So I started looking at the code last week. So there are like 2 changes that probably we have to make, I guess. One is related to the SSH and SCP that you were talking about. So, I mean, is there any reason that it's very much specific to GKE? Because that could be done.
Yes.
So why is it specific? No, there's no specific relation to GKE. So I mean, in order to start up the KubeMark cluster, need these 4 basic operations, right? You need a function to start and to delete, and you also need to be able to SSH to that machine to actually go there and run stuff, run some script.
Yeah. And for DCE, when there is like a tool that downloads the keys and so on to which is G-Cloud Compute SSH, which just downloads the key, so it allows you to use the SSH to machine. So this is just like a kind of a wrapper.
Okay.
SSH, which is the reason why we needed to do so.
Okay.
I just shared a link to that file, which needs to be ordered.
Okay. We are getting kicked out, so we'll need to disconnect. I wanted to talk about the SLO doc that I sent to the list, but I guess we'll do it in a week.
We'll do that. Had we agreed that the one SLO was what I wanted to put I can either leave the general update just saying there's a new SLO we're thinking about, or I can actually start saying that there's this one we agreed to.
It's not well defined. Like I think if we agree here that this is kind of the way we want to go, then I guess we can announce.
I think we can write up.
I'm interested in defining more granular SLOs and would welcome feedback from the community if they have particular user stories they think should be.
I won't say we've picked a specific SLO. I'll just say this is the discussion we're having about picking it.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Sorry for the general confusion in the beginning. That's because this is a meeting. I need to just a meeting and